live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Knights of the Turntable, the definitive hip hop podcast. This is episode 3, and with me I have the usual guests, Joe Hova,
Yo, what's up?
Gary Swaby.
Yo, what's up? Wait, is this actually episode 3?
I thought it was 4.
Oh, I'm sorry, 4. I'm tripping. Already messed up. This is the 4th one. Episode 4. Thank you. And also we have a newcomer to the group. Matt, go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
How we doing, man? I'm Matt. I write for MMO Games and a couple other places, and I'm glad to be here.
Word. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and jump into what we are currently listening to. I will start with Gary. Is there anything new that you've picked up on?
Not really. I mean, I haven't had a lot of time to, listen to anything new, but I did check out that Quest song you sent me today, Struggle Rapper.
Word.
And yeah, I enjoyed it. I listened to it a few times because the track is kind of long. Well, we're gonna talk about it, so I won't give too many of my impressions right now. But yeah, that's what I've been listening to.
All right, cool. Joe, how about you?
Yo, Wiz Khalifa Promises might be the best song of 2014, and I just found out about it on Friday. Like, it's obviously a Ty Dolla $ign track. Like, Ty Dolla $ign actually wrote this. You could tell because Wiz is singing on it. But I've probably played that about 150 times since Friday.
That is a big statement. I haven't really listened to Wiz Khalifa in a long time, so.
And see, that's my thing too. Like, I'm not a real big fan of Wiz, but I liked We Them Boys, so I gave this one a chance too. And I was just like, mind blown.
Word. I'm definitely gonna have to check that out then. And Matt, you are new to the party, so I'm sure you have a laundry list of things that you've been listening to. Go ahead and share with everyone.
A lot of the stuff I've been listening to is a little bit older. I've been spending a lot of time with Chance the Rapper's Acid Rap. I think that is absolutely a fucking amazing project, and I love it from start to end. And I've been listening to Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City a lot. And then other than that, just a bunch of 90s boom bap stuff.
Word, I can dig it. So you ever really jumped into anything fairly recent?
I was surfing around DatPiff the other day listening to mixtapes, and I kind of am, the state of hip-hop is not really, kind of pleasing to me right now. It's all stuck like 10, 15 years ago. And, I probably listened to, 15, 20 mixtapes on DatPiff this week, and they all just sound the same. It's a bunch of dudes boasting. It's really boring. It's old production. Everybody thinks they're the best. It's just same story, different artist, and it's just kind of a yawn fest right now.
Gotcha. Well, shameless plug. We have the playlist that runs every Monday on thecoalition.com. I'm going to get you checking that stuff out, and I guarantee you'll have a different perspective on current artists by next week.
Nice segue. I like that segue.
Yeah, I like that.
Word. Well, I don't have a clever segue into the next topic because I don't think gunplay does. I don't think he requires.
Gunplay.
He is a segue of his own. Like you just have gunshots edited into the podcast and we'll just go right in. But right. He has dissed. This is gonna be a heated topic because we have a big 50 Cent fan and we have a big Gunplay fan. I'm kind of in the middle on this one, and I'm interested to see where Matt stands. But if you didn't know, Gunplay has jumped on the now infamous Bobby Shmurda instrumental, "Hot Nigga," and went at 50 Cent's neck. I'm gonna start with Gary and how he feels about this particular song.
Okay. Well, I personally feel like Gunplay should have stopped dissing 50 Cent when he got beat up and his chain snatched when he tried to run up on 50 Cent last time. At that point, you should have just chilled, he seems like he's a cokehead, so, he should chill out, do some coke, smoke some weed, and, just try and make good music instead of, trying to go at 50 Cent.
Keyword being try, right?
True. Word on the streets, in the streets means AKA Hip Hop DX's interview that I read about it. Gunplay said that 50 Cent was hiding behind the security when he approached him, though. How you feel about that?
Well, I mean, like this is 50 Cent. Like he's a millionaire pretty much. Like, can you blame anyone at that status for having security? Like, people are gonna try to run up on them all the time. Like, it's not. There's nothing wrong with protecting yourself at the end of the day.
I think that's true. But for a guy that kind of portrays himself as a bully, you think he'd step out every now and then. But let's get Matt's perspective on this before we go into Joe's rant, because I'm just ready for this.
Hey, I just want y'all to know I'm money dancing the entire time you guys are talking
Oh god.
All right, Matt, how do you feel about this? Because I know you just listened to the track like I did.
Like a couple hours ago, yeah, man, that shit was awful. Like, that was one of. Let's talk about the construction for a minute. That construction was absolutely terrible. Like, just end rhymes, A/B format. Dude's got no cadence, no flow, can't rhyme, can't rap. It was just awful. Like, it was. Like, I love feuds. Like, I think feuds are fun. They're good for the industry. But man, if you're gonna come at Fitty, like, Fitty's not a great rapper either. Like, he's good, but I wouldn't, as far as construction is concerned, I wouldn't call him top. But if you're gonna come at Fitty, you gotta do something better than that, because that shit was absolutely awful.
Do you think it was something worthy of 50 Cent responding to?
I hope he does respond to it, just because that's fun, but. And that's kind of what feuds are all about. At the same time, I'm not sure he will. But I'd love to hear a response, especially on the same beat. I'd like to hear 50 kill that beat and just completely destroy that dude, because that was one of the worst things I've heard in months.
And in the words of, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that this wasn't even creative, because it's kind of the same thing Jay-Z did when he said, "I'm all about a dollar, fuck it's 50 Cent." So
right,
yeah, he took that line straight from there.
The best line in the entire thing, which wasn't even a great line, was a play off the dude's name in regards to money. Like, come on, man! Like, you gotta do better than that. I'm not sure he can, because I've listened to the dude's other shit, and he's just as whack on all that too. I think he's terrible, man. I don't understand how he has a fan base.
Well,
because he's dope. That's why.
You know what? I'm gonna save it, because Joe can't contain himself right now. So
yeah, go
Joe, go ahead.
No. Okay, so as I told you guys before we even started, like, I used to hate Gunplay. Like, I hated everything that dude stood for. He was just Rick Ross's weed carrier. But for some reason, I was drawn to his music after Cartoons and Serial. Not like I try to listen to everything he puts out after that, and it's just, as for that, like, that song, that's his beat now. Like, people are gonna call me crazy. That's his beat now, as far as I'm concerned. That's not Bobby Shmurda's anymore. Like, as far as I'm concerned, that's not his.
Word.
Like,
Wait,
it's just
do you
Gunplay.
guys
Like,
know who actually used that beat first?
Lloyd Banks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, it was a Banks beat from 2 years ago. Shmurda jacked it, and then everybody's been making their rounds on it now. But it's just his, like, Gunplay's charisma on a track is what attracts me to his music. Like, he has this, like, energy that's just, I don't know, it's just something weird. It's kind of like the reason I listen to Future's music. Like, there's this certain energy about it, and it draws you to it.
I don't know. Bravado is cheap in this industry, man. Like, bravado is everywhere. Like, he's got to, like, for me, for it to be real hip hop, and for it to be something that I'll listen to, it has to be, lyrically sound and got to be something more than just guns and bitches and whatever.
But that's the thing. Like, why does it have to be categorized as real hip hop? Like, this guy's making, like, decent music.
Maybe that was the wrong word, but it's just it's not appealing to me. Like, I like to have to think. I like things to be complex in my rhymes, and you don't even have to call it hip hop. You can call it whatever you want, but I just don't want my music to be empty. And that's what Gunplay comes off to me. It comes off as empty.
I feel you on that, but I have to say 50 Cent's, like, rhyming lately hadn't been too fulfilling either. So it's kind of in your words, two empty artists like arguing with each other. But I have to agree with Joe. I love Gunplay's energy. Like I really didn't like any of his stuff until he did the track with Kendrick Lamar and his verse on there, which I don't know if you've listened to that. I'll link you after the podcast. But his verse on there was incredible. Like it was brilliant. It was perfect, and it's a true feat to actually stand out on the track with Kendrick. Unless you're J Rock, because he just has the ability to do that. I don't know.
Like we all,
For sure.
like we all saw that Gunplay feature on cartoons and cereal, and we're like, what the hell is this? Like, this doesn't make any sense. But once you listen to the song, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. But now another side of this feud though, another thing that kind of makes Gunplay stand out is that it's not all talk with him. This dude is legitimately nuts.
He's psycho. There's video of him on World Star from like 2008 or 2009 just snorting cocaine.
And there's also the one where he pulled the gun on his attorney.
Yeah.
Like
Gunplay's legit crazy.
Yeah, he is nuts, and like I believe like the whole thing where he attacked 50 Cent, that's legit him. But I mean, I can respect that you stand by your words, but I really wish artists would keep it hip hop though. And even in a situation where he's not very much hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't stand out much lyrically, but I think he should keep it hip hop because it could go really bad, especially between these two different camps. So,
can you elaborate on what you mean by keep it hip hop?
Keep it music, like no physical altercations. None of the running up on people and actually pulling guns on everybody or trying to fight somebody at an award show, because it sheds a bad light on hip hop.
For sure.
I do want to say that I agree with Gary though. Like him going at 50 Cent, that just seems lame to me. That's something that happened like 3 years ago. Like if you want to hop on a beat and address something, like just talk about your album or why you're better than Rick Ross right now or something.
And
can't everyone say that right now?
Yeah, pretty much everyone can say they're better than Rick Ross. We get it, dude. You like cars.
Cars and Wingstop.
Word. Go ahead, Gary. What were you saying?
I was gonna say, like, I kind of felt like the whole beef and tension between G Unit and MMG was kind of dying down because, like, you've seen 50 Cent chilling with Meek Mills, and you know, I mean, he doesn't really talk about Ross that much anymore. So I kind of think there might be a mutual respect between them, you know, somewhere along the lines. I mean, they might not like each other, but I think they might have some kind of deep-rooted mutual respect for each other. But, you know, when you got people like Gunplay just going crazy, you know, talking reckless, then, you know, it's never going to solve anything. So.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure. Yeah, bottom line, they definitely got to keep it hip-hop and just chill out and yeah, rap about being better than Rick Ross as anyone can do. But we're going to go ahead and move over into the next topic, which we've talked about Absol quite a few times, and probably every time we've done a podcast, and these days has been mentioned in some fashion, whether sarcastic or serious. But he did an interview recently with Hip Hop DX that site comes up again, and he was talking about how those that listened to him before may have a certain perception of these days, and he says, I will quote it for you. He said, someone should say, yo, I was listening to Control System and this is not the same guy I thought he was. And he said, someone should say that. That's also just my truth, honestly. And if you care to grow with me and change with me, then you can. So Ab is basically, and I think a lot of artists try to use this kind of, I guess I would say excuse, which may be a poor word. But first thing I think of is B.O.B. and how they kind of try to cross over into a larger audience. And the question is that truly growth for an artist, or is that copping out or selling out? How do y'all feel about that? Do you think them trying to reach out completely out of the lane that they've already paved is a means of growth all the time? I'll start with Gary.
Yeah, I actually really feel what Absol was saying in that interview. And this also goes back to the previous discussion we had about, you know, the albums being judged separately. I feel like the audience should grow with the artist because, not every album has to sound the same or contain the same subject matter. Like, each album can be its own, body of work, its own masterpiece. The fans just have to be open-minded enough to accept it and, fully like understand it and understand the creative process behind it.
I feel you there. So, like, all right, let me paint a picture, and I know Joe will understand me on this. So, say you have that open mind, and you have open arms, and you're letting these days come in. It slides into your CD player, and you're playing it, and then the song "Twacked" comes on, and you realize that this attempt at expanding is probably going to end up being a complete failure. Like you've given them the chance, but the execution is just terrible.
Oh
Like
yeah,
Joe, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, that happens. The artist can make a dud as well. I'm not letting the artist off the hook because they've still got to bring it. But yeah, I mean, I guess listeners could be more open-minded. I haven't heard Absol's album, so I don't know what the case is there. But yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I haven't listened to it either.
Gotcha. I've got to get both of you to check out Schoolboy Q, Isaiah Rashad, and Absol's projects. But Joe, how did you feel about this statement?
I think to a certain extent it's not. I mean, it's like artist growth, like because these days wasn't as bad as like everybody says it was, like myself included. But there was just certain moments where you're like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you doing this when this works for you? Like, you don't throw a fastball when the curveball's working for you. Like, you just don't do it. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, and Twack just sounded like it was a sellout song. Like, it just sounded completely like TDE said, "Hey, we want you to do a DJ Mustard song." When he's the least capable person of TDE to do a DJ Mustard song.
Absolutely. Pun intended, too.
Yeah. It just seems like some of the stuff does come across forced, like if you're trying to do growth. Like I think the best example I can use is Kanye, because like 808s was it was a concept album, but it didn't come across forced. It just sounded like it was organic. And
I love 808s.
I love that album.
Yeah,
and it's just it sounded organic, it sounded from the heart, and it just sounded like it wasn't manufactured.
And it was something completely different from that artist, but still falling kind of within what you would expect from Kanye.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't listened to the Ab Soul project, but from what I've heard people talk about it, it's kind of out of left field, a lot of it. And I don't know if that's necessarily growth or if that's just change for change's sake.
Yeah,
I would actually say the latter.
Change for change's sake. Yeah, change for change's sake on that one for me. And I mean, and he's kind of admitting that though by saying it, like hoping that people will accept that kind of change. But I'm like, nah, man, that's not your lane, and you should stick to your strengths for sure. But speaking of strengths, who knew that Peyton Manning and Eli Manning had a strength in rap? Because everything that they've dropped has been a hit.
Fire. Fire.
Word. But they just dropped a new one, which people are forgetting that this stuff is like direct TV promo stuff, because I don't even think they mentioned direct TV at all.
Oh yeah, they do, because it's all about their new fantasy football channel.
The channel? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's about fantasy football, and I personally thought it was hysterical, and it's dope how it looks like they're taking themselves so seriously, even though I know they're not, and it's very awesome. But Matt, you can start it off. How did you feel about it?
The entire time, like, I was a little conflicted, because I'm sitting here going, man, the rapping's terrible, the flow is terrible, but I had a lot of fun throughout that video. Like, Eli backs up the car at one point. Like, I started cracking up. I was dying. It was funny. And then there's some sort of line about nacho cheese, like,
yep.
Or the little bit about taking a shower with tiny little footballs. Like, whoever wrote it was did a pretty good job. It was, I mean, no one's gonna take it seriously, and it's not meant to be taken seriously, but it was amusing as hell, and it was a whole lot of fun.
How you feel, Matt? I mean, not Matt. Joe.
I'm just over it. Like, I'm so over like the Manning family. Like, you put up 8 points in the Super Bowl. Go practice. I don't want to see you rapping.
But it's so awesome, man.
No,
It was
it's
pretty awesome.
so not awful. I did like the Chris Johnson cameo though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. What about you, Gary?
I'm gonna be real. I didn't watch the whole thing because I don't really know these guys, so I probably wouldn't get the full gist of the humor.
Right,
But
the
I
reference.
definitely
Yeah.
feel like there's a room for gimmick rap as long as it's not taken too seriously. Like this is what hip hop is, whatever.
Hey, it was a lot better than that whack family. That was it. Toyota, the Busta Rhymes joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so much better than that because they tried to take themselves too serious, and I can understand what you mean by that. But it's ridiculous, man. I hope we get Manning raps every year.
If there's anything that kind of does bother me, not only about the Manning rap, but about gimmick rap in general, stuff like that, is that it kind of plays into the stereotypes a little bit too much. It uses old boom bap beats. Everyone's trying to look tough. There's usually some sort of chains involved. I still liked it, but at the same time, like, if somebody doesn't know what hip-hop and rap is all about, I still feel like that's going to reinforce the stereotype. Even though it's not meant to be taken seriously and that audience still knows that, it's not going to help. It's going to help reinforce the existing stereotypes of what hip-hop is.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. That was well said, for sure. But jumping into the next topic, Lil Wayne, who, depending on who you talk to, has had a bit of a decline after the Carter 3, has been releasing track after track and making plenty of appearances in the last few months. His latest is a video called Crazy, which is influenced by One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Plus, he's done Grinding and Believe Me, both of those featuring Drake.
And don't forget, what's it called? The alcohol, Duce or Ducey or whatever it's called. That was like that song after Believe Me.
Okay, I missed that one. Or either I heard it and just didn't know it was his track, because that's pretty much how everything goes these days with his stuff. But honestly, some of the tracks that he's done have been really impressive. But there's such a disparity between the Wayne that we were hearing and what we're hearing now that is it possible that Wayne is going to be making a comeback, and why is that? I'll start off with Joe.
When I watched the video for Crazy, it just seemed like I really like that song, and that's the first Wayne song I can say that I really like since like 2008. It just seems like that's not him.
What do you mean?
So I'm thinking there might be ghostwriters.
Oh, I was gonna say the same thing, man. I was smelling Gilly the Kid all over again, dude.
Yep. It just seems like, because like, how do you go from Carter 4 and Dedication 4 or 5? I can't remember what the last one was. How do you go from being that awful to this good in such little time?
Yep. And I mean, go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say, like, listening to Crazy, not only did I like the video, but it did really, in a lot of ways, remind me of Carter 2 shit, where he uses a lot of mosaic rhymes with end rhymes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's debate whether or not that was actually written by Wayne, but however you slice it, if you want to call him a rapper, performer, like, I loved that track, and I thought it was classic Wayne style. I thought Crazy was the best of the 3 tracks we listened to today.
That's a big statement. I can definitely understand where you're coming from. Crazy was my least favorite out of all of them, though.
I agree.
The video itself was cool. I like the influence for it, and
Yep.
and it was awesome seeing him in such a like high energy. You know, especially after all the stuff that happened with like the drugs and all, but seeing him bouncing around and everything was really cool to see. But Believe Me is actually the song that I like the most out of the ones that we've listened to between Crazy, Believe Me, and Grinding. But even the first second that I listened to it, number one, it's a Drake song that he gave to Wayne for sure, as far as like where it was probably going to be placed. And two, his verse sounded exactly like Drake. Cadence,
Every
content, like everything.
every song's Drake featuring Drake. Drake even said it.
Yeah, like literally, like I think that when he said that, he meant that in a little bit of a different way that we don't understand until right now. Like I definitely think he wrote that for Wayne, and like I'm not sure if I'm 100% okay with that because it's on one hand it's cool to have Wayne back, but on another, why does he have to be back? Why do they need these potential ghostwriters to put him back in that level of infamy that he once had before?
Well, it's the same thing with Snoop Dogg because Snoop. I mean, we used to like Snoop's music, and then he came out and said that he was going to use ghostwriters. Like I think it was like 2008 or 2009 or something, and that's where his music started falling off like hardcore.
Yeah, it's nuts. What about you, Gary? How do you feel?
What about the Ghost Riders or about the songs in general?
Songs first.
Okay. The song's Crazy is I mean it was my least favorite of the three songs, but conceptually it makes sense. Like I think it will catch on to the mainstream and everything. And the video is really good. It was really well done. So I think that will definitely help sell the project a little bit. Grinding was a nice track. I can, imagine it being played on the radio and in clubs and everything. The ladies would probably like it. And of
Word.
course, Believe Me as well, because Drake's on there and everything. And like you said, it does sound like a Drake record. I actually thought it was, when I started listening to it. But yeah, I think I like Believe Me the most out of the three.
Word up. Word up.
Can we talk about grinding and how how that's Young Thug being Lil Wayne?
Ugh,
Yeah,
I hated that.
I mean that feeds right back into the whole ghostwriting theory because like Joe mentioned that to me right before I started listening to it, and I immediately heard Young Thug like as soon as it came on.
Thugger!
You gotta be kidding me. Yeah, it was legit. Like it was unashamed. Like there was just straight up emulation, or he wrote it himself.
Somebody, well, we gotta mention what I told you too, because I saw that on Twitter, and I can't remember who tweeted it, but somebody said that Wayne sounded like Young Thug, sounded like Lil Wayne, and it was flowception.
That's true. That is exactly true. But I wanted to hear Gary's perspective on the ghostwriting side of things.
It's always upsetting when, one of your favorite rappers or a rapper that's putting a lot of work into the game starts getting lazy and using ghostwriters. It's happened quite a lot, and it probably happens more than we even know, to be honest. But that's kind of sad because, you look up to these people and you really want their energy, their creativity when you're, buying into their project. You want to hear them, but that's the way the business works. As they get bigger and bigger, they probably don't even have as much time to really get into that creative process anymore. So hey, this guy's hot, this Young Thug guy is hot, at the moment. Why don't we just get him to produce a track for the record? So that's probably how they look at it. It's all business at this point.
Yeah.
The other thing I was just thinking about because Gary mentioned about the getting the hot artists. Wayne has such like a historic category or catalog, I should say, that he was running out of things to rap about. And if you hire ghostwriters, you're not running out of your own ideas and own things to write about.
Yeah.
That's fair. I kind of wanted to chime in on this a little bit.
Go ahead.
As a fan, it's probably it's always kind of disappointing to hear somebody that you consider genuine using ghostwriters. But from an industry standpoint and from a writer's perspective, it's not always a bad thing because it does give a chance for some of these faces and people that you don't know who are equally as talented as the marquee artists. It gives them a chance to actually use their creativity, write songs, and create things for the industry. Yes, it does come off a little bit disingenuous because you do assume that the person singing, rapping the song is the writer of the song, but it's not necessarily a bad thing from a creativity standpoint.
True.
Yeah, and this is something that happens in other genres, very openly. Like,
Oh yeah.
people write songs for each other. Like, it's not always the actual artist writing the song. They take songs from each other. But
That's 90% of R&B music. Is somebody else writing?
exactly.
I mean,
Yeah,
Nashville,
yeah.
there's a joke in the industry. The only place you can still sell a song is Nashville.
Yeah.
Because every other genre, from indie rock to rap, really the fan base wants their artists to be genuine. They want the same people performing. They don't want performers. They want artists. They want the same people performing being the same people that actually write the material. That's not necessarily the expectation in R&B music and in country music.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
I think a big reason why it's like that with hip hop is because of the way it started, the grind and everything. You start out, really putting in the work yourself, but as things got more business orientated, it all changed, and the business aspects came into hip hop, and that's why we're still going through transitions there, where a lot of these things are coming into play that we see in other genres. So.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, go
I
ahead
was
because
gonna say.
the next thing will change it up a little bit.
I think part of it, the reason that you see, especially in rock music, indie rock music, and hip hop music, why that's the case is partly because most of the people that come out of indie rock music and hip hop music are untrained musicians. They're regular people like you and I that start in their garage. They don't have songwriters. The expectation is completely different because they're grinding all the way from the bottom to the top. And since hip hop started out as a grind from the bottom to the top for the most part, we still have that expectation. But I feel like that's going to change in the next decade.
You think it'll change?
I think it'll change. I think as more and more people do it, it's gonna, and more people do it openly. Like if you look at country music in the 1950s, it was not really acceptable to use ghostwriters. Most of those guys wrote their own material and were required to write their own material. As the industry and the genre changed and it became more accepted and more common practice, eventually people just not necessarily forgot about the artists themselves, but forgot about the fact that they required that. So as the listener base becomes more accepted to it, I think it'll be more accepted in the industry itself.
Well, to bounce off of that, to switch perspective up a little bit, I know that there are going to be like some lesser guys that get an opportunity, to write for someone like Wayne that normally wouldn't have their style or the words that they want to put out there or the beats or whatever to hit this stage. And it's obviously a benefit to them. But say, for instance, that Young Thug really did write that verse for Wayne. Do you think that an artist like him, who's kind of in his prime as far as where his reach right now, do you think that type of thing is stifling for a young artist's career? I will ask Matt first.
I guess it depends on how well the track does, huh? Like
That's true.
If the track ends up doing really well and going iTunes #1 and the record goes platinum, yeah, it's gonna help. Like people are gonna know this guy wrote that track. They're gonna know that he also makes music, and it's gonna help his career. On the flip side of that, if the track flops, it's not well received, the record doesn't sell, it'll end up being a stifle. It'll be a pitfall, a trip. Either way, the effect on the artist depends on how the track is received and how the track does.
What do you think, Joe?
I think I think as a creativity standpoint, it kind of stifles a young artist because they're generating their best material right now, and then once they get to their solo stuff, the mass media and the mainstream will pick up and start listening to because of their past. It leaves a little bit of a little less of their creativity because they've already started using some of it and given their ideas away and stuff. It's like an athlete blowing out his ACL in high school and then trying to play in college, or trying to, he blows it out in college and tries to transition to the pros. It's not going to be the same as he was, as this big star.
Yeah, yep, I agree. What about you, Gary?
Yeah, I definitely think it will help the artist. It'll give them a boost of, like behind the scenes with business and everything. Because I kind of feel like this happens a lot. And say that there's this young thug artist he's got a little buzz right now, but he writes this song for Wayne. Not everybody's supposed to know that he wrote it, but if you're an insider, you probably know. So once people catch wind of that, that artist is going to be in more demand, from behind the scenes and, even in the mainstream, because then people, who listen to the music will associate the sound, with that artist as well. They'll be like, oh, he sounds like this guy. So I think it
And
does benefit the artist.
And the perfect example of that is Ty Dolla $ign writing Chris Brown's "Loyal," because Chris Brown didn't even bother to switch up any of the flow or anything, and now Ty Dolla $ign's starting to get more out into the mainstream.
Yeah.
Another one, Kanye West, is really open in the fact that he says part of his career success is for ghostwriting beats.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like Gary said, even if the public doesn't know about it and isn't supposed to know about it, if you're an industry insider, you most certainly do. And that's going to affect your career. We might not have a Kanye if it wasn't for the fact that he ghost wrote a lot of beats back in the 90s.
Yeah, that's a very true statement, for sure. For sure. But we're going to go ahead and jump into the next topic. What is your favorite label of old? Like, the Death Row days or No Limit, all of those groups and things like that, and follow it up with your current favorites, which you have a ton to choose from because everybody's kind of going the route of having their smaller labels under these different umbrellas and everything. But I will start with Joe because I have an idea of which one his is going to be.
I saw this and my eyes lit up because I get to tell you about why I love Rockefeller Records. It was
just on this journey, man.
Just Rockefeller was just. Jay was he was my introduction to rap. I heard Hard Knock Life. That was basically my introduction to rap music was Hard Knock Life, and it just the label that they built with Jay and then the in-house producers of Kanye and Just Blaze, and then bringing on Kanye as an artist himself and Benny Siegel and Freeway. It was just they were the all-star team of hip-hop. It was just nuts. That's why Rockefeller is my favorite label of all time.
They were definitely a powerhouse in their heyday. No joke, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And we'll make the rounds on the old labels before we get to the new ones. But Matt, you're up at bat, man.
All right. I guess not necessarily a label, but an associated group of acts. I gotta give it to Dungeon Family. Artists like Goody Mob, CeeLo Green, Outkast, obviously. I just thought I love that down south sound. I loved pretty much all those records throughout the 90s. I thought they were great, and like I said, I got to give it to Dungeon Family.
That was a choice that I'm sad and kind of I disappointed myself because I didn't think of them. So yeah, cheers to that. Gary, your turn.
Yeah, same as Joe for me. Rockefeller Records. The way they came up and the team they had, that was something special. They really changed the game, and they had a lot of dope artists. But since he pretty much already said everything I wanted to say, I also want to have some honorable mentions just to Dark Down Records and Raucous Records. I like
Oh,
those
Ruckus, good
artists.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Badass, man. My answer is going to be more along the lines of Matt, not necessarily a label, more collective, which you guys may not have listened to a lot of their stuff at all. But the Justice League is mine, and not the production group that we have now. But the Justice League was a rap collective from North Carolina that had Little Brother, Sean Don, Sean Price,
Oh,
Skyzoo,
yeah.
Ninth Wonder, the away team, Darian Brockington, all of them. That was my crew right there.
I
Like,
forgot
I
about
almost
that.
forgot about them. Little Brother was great, man. They still
yes,
do
man.
shit. They
Yes,
still make music.
individually, yeah.
Not as a group anymore. They don't make music, right?
No,
No.
Ninth Wonder's out there producing the same drum beats for like everybody,
Mm.
and Fonte is he still
Tickle,
raps.
Tickle.
Yeah, New Tiglo, and he still raps and he still does the foreign exchange. And Big Pooh is actually part of the new version of Slum Village now,
Okay.
basically.
Is he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he
I love
is.
that 2005 release from them, the Minstrel Show. Like that is
Yes,
such
man.
a great record, man.
That is a classic. That is a classic, and it
People-
really saddens me that people from the South don't even know about Little Brother.
Yeah, I agree. Like I love Little Brother. Like it's been a long time, but now I think after this show, I'm gonna have to go listen to Minstrel Show.
Yeah, man. And you really need to dive into a lot of the Justice League stuff. Plus, they have an album that is really hard to find called The Hall of Justice. And it's called Soldiers. Well, they called the entire collective Hall of Justice, and the album's called Soldiers of Fortune. If you can find that, man, it is a gem. Like, legitimately, it's incredible. But we'll go back and go into the labels, the new labels that stand out to you. And we'll start it with Gary. He's going to say G Unit, so we can move on to the next person.
Yeah. Well, I actually couldn't think of any a new label that I'd pick. So yeah, I'll just go with G Unit. So yeah, carry on.
Just like that. All right, Matt. Who's your favorite new label?
Oh man, this one's easy, and I'm glad I got to say it before anyone else did. But Rhyme
TDE.
Sayers. No, Rhyme Sayers.
Oh,
I absolutely
you took
love
my answer.
Rhyme. I knew somebody was gonna say it. I love Rhyme Sayers. From everything from idea and abilities to Brother Ali to Aesop Rock to Sage Francis to Atmosphere. Almost all of my favorite hip hop artists are under one roof with Rhyme Sayers, and they are the best label on the planet, in my opinion.
That sounds like a good
God
move.
dang it.
Now you got to
That's
come up
all
with
right.
something on the spot.
I had a good backup. That's all right.
All right.
Backup. All right. How about you, Joe Hova?
Is your backup TDE?
No, it's not. I thought somebody was gonna say TDE though. Like, I mean, they're up there for me. They're top 3, I would say. It's just they're so young. Like they haven't been around long enough.
You know what?
So
I was actually going to say TDE, but with all of the stuff that I've been listening to from Drake and OVO and stuff, like Party Next Door and Midget Jordan and just Drake solo stuff too, I think OVO is getting up there for me too. But
you would say OVO is better than TDE?
I don't say they're better than TDE. I just think that they're getting up there to a point where they're having solid releases, release after release, kind of like TDE does.
I can agree with that. Party Next Door counts as OVO, like label-wise, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's OVO. Yeah. But for now it's TDE, just because I mean, I still haven't listened to a J-Rock solo, but J-Rock verses just always captivate me.
Every time. Like, I really need him to drop an album, man. And I think them getting Isaiah Rashad, like I think that was a great sign.
I shut you down.
He's great. All right, so since I can't say Rhyme Sayers,
Sorry,
because I'm
man.
a huge Rhyme Sayers
I love
advocate,
Rhyme
man.
Sayers is great.
Like the best live performance I've been to twice, Brother Ali Atmosphere in Birmingham, like and Greaves also, but all right,
Murs is on that label too.
Murs is not.
He was,
because
wasn't he?
he's on my backup, which is Strange Music.
Okay.
Murs jumped ship, my friend.
Ah,
But
yeah.
Strange Music, so Tech Nine, Murs, Recognize, who is of Mayday, which Mayday is incredible, and a lot of people need to get hip to them. Um, I think Ritz is on Strange Music. Seth's crew, all of those guys, they're definitely my number two. Since Rhyme says is my number one, they're my number two crew because like consistency wise, they are putting out some dope stuff. And I also love the fact that Tech Nine uses his notoriety as the platform for all of these people that normally wouldn't get the kind of stage that he offers them, especially with like the Strange Elation or the Strange Music compilations that he does like almost every other year. That's dope because for one, I don't understand how he has the talent to write so many verses because he puts out
He
a
puts out
lot
a
of
lot. He's a busy
content.
man. I don't
Yeah,
think he's
and
ever done a bad record.
no, like you, there's not one that you could say legitimately is just terrible. There are some that don't appeal to me as much, but he always puts out something good. And when he does the Strange Music compilations, it's not just hey, I'm Tech Nine putting my stamp on this, and these are the artists that I work with. He does verses on there, and they have to keep up with him, and it's awesome. I love it. Like the interludes, like y'all remember when Wayne did the interludes on I think Carter 4.
Hmm.
He did a similar thing on Strange Elation, where there was 4 parts I think, and it had different artists on each one.
Okay.
It was freaking awesome. The music video has it all put together though, and I think I need to share that when we put this post up. But yeah, Strange Music's definitely my current favorite.
And doesn't J Rock have a solo over there too?
He he did. I don't know if it still exists, but that's my first time when I heard J Rock. It was on Tech Nine tracks. Matter of fact, the first time I heard Kendrick was on a Tech Nine song.
What song? Do you remember?
I love music off of all
Ah,
6
yep.
Sabbaths.
Yep, he was on I Love Music.
Yeah. The first couple times. The first time was on Tech Nine song, and another time was on a track by XV, who is so dope, but he don't like ghosts. I don't know what happened to XV. I died, Joe. I know what you want to say.
Should we say that XV has done the J Electronica?
I don't understand it because he had those March Madness mixtapes that got him a lot of buzz, and then he disappeared.
Like I've listened to maybe like 4 XV songs, and like he had the weakest Just Blaze beat, like, and still couldn't make me listen to him.
Wichita was dope. I don't know what's wrong with you, man. Wichita is dope, but that's another topic for another podcast. Let's go ahead and get final thoughts from everybody. We will start off with Matt, the new guy. Put you on the spot. What's your final thoughts, sir?
Oh God, I wasn't expecting this. I just thinking this was a lot of fun, and I really hope it's a good show, and I hope everybody enjoys it, man. And I guess I have a lot of things to listen to this week.
Oh, most definitely. Gary Swaby.
Yo. Yeah, for some reason I thought we was discussing the that song, the I can't remember the name now.
The
My
Quest
mind's
song.
blank.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what? Matter of fact, we can throw that in. We can throw that in there because that just came out today. Joe, did you get a chance to listen to Struggle Rapper?
Not yet. I actually have only listened to like 2 Quest songs, and he's all right from what I've listened to so far. So I'll probably give it a spin tonight.
Yeah, I think that'll be the one song that'll tip your perception of him because it's probably the more personal one. But you know what? We'll save that topic for next time when everybody get listen to it.
Yeah,
Because his album should be coming out soon too. But what were you saying, Gary?
yeah, cause I heard it, I'll make that my final thought. And yeah, as I was
Okay.
saying, like the song is like 5 minutes, so I had to listen to it a few times to fully take everything in. But yeah, dude is nice, man, and I like what he's saying. You know, he's basically talking about his struggle, you know, in music, like trying to come up and everything. So you know, that's always respectable. So yeah, I
Oh,
like the song,
definitely.
and I'll definitely be checking out more. What'd you say?
I was saying I was agreeing definitely because you know they always paint a picture of how glorious it is to be an artist and the notoriety and everything, but not very many of them talk about the struggle it took to get there, and like the growth that they actually, the personal growth that they had to go through and the mistakes they made, and I had a lot of respect for them after listening to that track.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So,
And aside from that, just shouts to Matthew and shouts to you guys, for episode 4.
yep, episode 4, not 3. Like I said
Not
at the
three.
beginning, not 3. Joe, what's your final word?
Okay, going off of what I said to start the show, Wiz Khalifa promises might be the hottest song of 2014.
We're only halfway there, man.
And like I say every episode, free Gucci Man.
What? Gucci Man sucks. Gucci's disgustingly bad. Like,
Gucci Man LaFleur is a legend as far as I'm concerned.
no, what was that? That Trap House 3 or whatever? That was the last thing I heard by him, and that was awful. That was.
Well, hell, he's put out 8 albums since then.
And I'm sure they're all equally as bad.
No, we need to free Gucci Man.
Is he in jail or something? Like, what?
He's in jail until next year.
Okay, well, he can stay there. Like, they can keep him.
Well, hell,
Yes.
maybe that's fine because he keeps putting out music.
Tupac put out music from jail. The difference was his was actually good.
My goodness, man. But my final word for the 99 in the 2000s.
For the 99 and 2000.
For the 99 in 2000, I want everyone to tune in to the playlist, which drops every Monday. It's a collection of 7 or 8 tracks from esteemed artists that you may be familiar with to underground artists that are coming up. And it's very impressive stuff. I'm very proud of the things that we put there, and all of those artists deserve the platform and deserve you giving them a spin. So thank you for tuning in to this 4th episode of Knights of the Turntable, and we will see you all next week.